Today, we're going to talk about a really radical shift in how we make things. We're moving away from these giant centralized factories toward a future that's local, on demand, and a whole lot smarter. So let's get right into it.
I want you to think for a second about the journey of something as simple as, I don't know, the chair you might be sitting on. Chances are it was designed in one country, the materials came from another, it was put together in a third, and then it got shipped all the way across an ocean to a warehouse before it ever got to you. It's a really long, surprisingly wasteful journey.
And this slide really lays out the two different worlds. On the left, that's the old way. Make a ton of stuff, ship it everywhere, and just hope someone buys it. It creates so much waste and leads to these warehouses just packed with things nobody wants. But the new way, on the right, well, it's just smarter. It's about local, on-demand production. We only make something when someone actually wants it. That one little change cuts waste like you wouldn't believe and just flips the whole economic equation on its head.
So, how do we actually make this happen? Well, the answer is this idea of the on-demand factory, this pretty revolutionary concept where things are made only when they're actually needed.
Okay, so let's go back to that chair. In this new system, your experience is completely different. Instead of going to a store, you just download its digital blueprint. Then you send that file to a local manufacturing hub, like a workshop right in your community, and they make it for you on demand. That's it. It's direct, it's simple, and it's so much more efficient.
And this isn't some far-off futuristic idea. It's already happening. A great example is a company called OpenDesk. What they've done is build this global network of local makers. You go online, you buy the digital design for a piece of furniture, and it gets built by a craftsman who lives near you. The whole international shipping part? Just gone.
There's a name for this whole concept: distributed manufacturing. It's basically a network of local, independent workshops, and they're all connected through technology. So instead of having one huge factory that's vulnerable to all sorts of problems, you have hundreds of smaller, more nimble ones that are all coordinated on a digital platform. It doesn't just decentralize things, it makes the whole supply chain way more resilient.
Now let's talk about the big picture shift that makes this all possible. We're basically moving from a world of physical things, of atoms, to a world of digital information, of data.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? We're swapping physical inventory for digital data, and that is the absolute game changer. Instead of warehouses stuffed with products, we have cloud servers full of blueprints. It means we can get rid of all that waste from overproduction, because an item is only created after someone has ordered it.
And the key technology that's powering this is additive manufacturing, which you almost certainly know as 3D printing. See, instead of starting with a block of material and carving away everything you don't need, which is super wasteful, it builds objects layer by tiny layer from a digital file. This lets you create these incredibly complex shapes and, here's the best part, it only uses the exact amount of material needed. Production waste gets pretty close to zero.
But this whole new model is part of an even bigger revolution, what people are calling Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution. And it goes way beyond just making things on demand. It's about using data to make the entire process smarter and, as we're about to see, a whole lot greener.
So, according to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, the real power of Industry 4.0 boils down to knowing three key things about any asset, whether that's a machine, a part, or a final product. As you can see here, it's about knowing its exact location, its physical condition, and its current availability. Having that constant stream of data is what lets us manage our resources with incredible efficiency.
So, what really makes a factory smart? Well, it's all about that constant stream of data from sensors. Just imagine sensors embedded in every machine, in the lights, all over the building. They basically act like a nervous system, constantly collecting data that you can use to optimize every single thing that's happening, especially energy consumption.
And the results? They can be absolutely staggering. Just look at this case study from Siemens. By using these cloud-based systems just to monitor their energy use, one facility in Germany cut its annual costs by 25 to 30%. That is a massive saving, just from being smarter with data about power.
And this chart really just puts it all into perspective. If you think of a traditional factory using 100 units of energy, a smart, data-driven factory can get the same job done using only 70. This isn't just a small improvement, it's a fundamental leap in efficiency.
All right, so where does all of this take us? These technologies aren't just making what we already do a little bit better, they are unlocking some truly transformative possibilities for the future of making itself.
The innovation isn't just about how we make things, it's also about what we make them from.
The next great frontier is changing the materials themselves, moving away from the petroleum-based plastics we see everywhere and toward materials for 3D printing that are genuinely sustainable, maybe even regenerative.
And we are already seeing some incredible experiments in this space. I mean, designers are 3D printing with mycelium, that's the root structure of mushrooms, but even more amazing is the work being done with algae-based bioplastics. Because algae actually eats CO2 as it grows, the material itself can end up trapping more carbon than is released when it's made. That means we could soon have everyday products that aren't just carbon neutral, but are actively helping to fight climate change.
And that brings us to one last kind of provocative thought. If our products just become digital files that we download, kind of like we download music or movies today, then what does it really mean to own something? When the real value isn't in the physical object anymore, but in the digital blueprint, well, that forces us to rethink our entire relationship with the material world. It's a fundamental change, and it's happening right now.